want to take a closer look at the school finance ruling. Joining me this morning is Morgan Smith, education reporter at our media partners, the Texas Tribune. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, so you've been covering this thing from the beginning. Were you surprised at the outcome?
In short, no. I think this was a largely expected ruling from Judge Dietz. This was a reprise of an oral ruling he gave from the bench about a year ago when the trial concluded its first round. But this one was accompanied by about 400 pages of very detailed legal findings of facts that went through all of the evidence that had been presented in the case.
Yeah, have you read all 400 pages?
I'm getting through it. That's how I'm spending my holiday weekend.
Yeah, some Labor Day weekend reading. So what now?
So now, as we know, the state is going to appeal this case. It's going to be considered by the Texas Supreme Court. And then, of course, lawmakers are coming back to Austin in 2015 for a legislative session. So we're going to hear a lot of discussion, but probably not a lot of actual changes made to the system during the legislative session as we kind of wait to see what the higher courts are going to say.
Could that take longer than the session to wait from the courts?
That's very, very likely. We don't know what the schedule is going to be for the Supreme Court to take this up. It's very likely to be either take longer or even happen after this next legislative session, and that means that, as in the past, the school finance issue is going to be taken up in a special legislative session.
Okay, so nothing's happening too fast in
That's
this
right.
one.
Yeah.
Hurry up and wait. All right, let's look at some other education issues going on right now. I know some senators met just this last week talking about House Bill 5 and how that is playing out. What are some big changes that we could see in the STAR exam this year?
Well, I think one of the issues is that there is not going to be a change in the STAR exam this year. The state, when it first implemented these new tests 3 years ago, had set a planned phase-in of higher standards. So to kind of ease the transition, they had lower passing standards with the idea that those would be ramped up year by year. At this most recent Senate hearing, we heard that the state is in fact not going to go to those higher standards because we haven't seen the increases in performance in the student performance on STAR exams. So there was a lot of senators had some tough questions for Education Commissioner Michael Williams over why that was not happening.
Mm-hmm. Did they talk about some solutions and ways to change that or get students up to where they need to be?
Well, there was kind of a difference in opinion between, or a lot of questions over why exactly that was happening. You had senators suggesting that maybe there's something wrong with the way the exams are structured, that we aren't seeing these increase because they are supposed to reflect Texas standards. But then you had Education Commissioner Michael Williams come back and suggest, well, maybe the instruction in the classroom has not yet risen to the rigorous level that is contained in these new tests.
Okay, interesting. Any other big changes that came out of that hearing or things coming up this school year that we need to know about?
Well, I think that the school finance and just further watching how these new graduation requirements are going to be playing out with HB 5 are going to be really interesting things to keep an eye on during the next school year.
Did any educators testify at the hearing about how they plan to implement some of the career and tech courses?
Well, I think you're seeing a lot of partnerships between local school districts and community colleges and business groups, and I think that's one of the primary intentions behind the bill is just to increase this community engagement around public education and around really getting curriculum that reflects the needs of employers and students in the state.
Yeah, everyone kind of learning together. I know one of the concerns, we were talking to some of the administrators with Austin ISD, and they're having some trouble finding teachers to teach these courses.
Yes, and that is, I mean, school districts don't know exactly what their enrollment is going to be until 3 weeks before the school year begins, and then at that point there can be a scramble to find the adequate number of teachers. And with these new curriculum requirements, you are seeing quite a wide variety of new courses that are offered, and there is a difficulty in finding teachers.
Yeah, a lot happening, of course, in the education world right now. Morgan Smith with the Texas Tribune. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks,
we gave you a nice break from your 400-page document reading, so we'll let you get back to that.
All right, thanks.
All right.